Good morning, Raider Nation. Welcome back to the Raider D podcast on this crazy Tuesday. Going to be wrapping up everything that has happened so far in the unofficial start to the 2025 NFL season. Thank you so much for being here. Hope you all are going to have a great Tuesday, and maybe you'll even have some tacos because, Taco Tuesday, you just can't go wrong with that. Hopefully, my favorite taco truck owner doesn't get deported. All right, moving on to what is going on. Guys, get your comments in the comment sections. Let's get it live this morning. A few things that we're going to be talking about in today's episode. We're going to talk about a recap, basically, of everything that happened yesterday with the Las Vegas Raiders. And we're going to be talking about how that is going to impact the Raiders moving forward, in my humble opinion. Now, I'm sorry for the poor video quality. I am in the new studio that is under construction right now. So apologize for that. It will look better here in the near future. Let's get into yesterday's craziness. Now, we knew that once the Las Vegas Raiders went out and gave Max Crosby the biggest non-quarterback contract in NFL history, that this was going to severely impact the salary cap and the ability to retain some of our players from last season. Also bringing in Geno Smith, absorbing that $31 million contract that he has. And so we got to, get hit with that. And also we're going to have to give him a long-term deal because the only reason why he's coming here is because he wants a $40+ million a year deal of at least 2 to 3 years. And so the Raiders are going to have to absorb that as well. I see my boy Raider Ryan in here. Salute, my man. How are you doing? El Cesaro in here. Good morning. So obviously, we seen yesterday that we had an exodus of some of our key players. We're going to break down each and every single one of them, how I feel about how that's going to affect the team moving forward. El Cesaro says, what a disaster. Butler would have left if didn't re-sign so early. They saw Geno as the QB and left. Okay, let me address that comment because that's a pretty loaded comment. There's a lot to break down there. I'm going to agree to disagree with you. Okay, so I don't think, first and foremost, as I told you guys, and maybe it's time for a little bit of gloating. I told you guys weeks ago that Nate Hobbs was going to test the free agency, according to my sources with the Las Vegas Raiders, straight from his mouth. That he had no intent of staying with the Raiders unless they were going to give him top dollar. And with his injury history, they just weren't going to do that. And as good as he is when he's healthy, you're only as good as you are with your availability. And he's just not available. So they let him walk. So it had nothing to do with Geno Smith because he had made that decision. And I told you guys that decision right here on the podcast a couple weeks ago, that was going to be the case with Nate Hobbs. Don't expect him to be back. I also told you a month ago that Malcolm Kuntz most likely was going to be back, that the Raiders were very intent on bringing him back. And despite him having some interest from other teams, he very much wanted to stay a Raider. He very much wanted to stay with this defense, this defensive line, Max Crosby, and get back to that Batman and Robin that was supposed to be last year between the two. And now we're finally going to get to see that as both of them get back to being fully healthy. And so Trayvon Moring, whatever his last name, however you pronounce it, because I get killed in the comments for not being able to pronounce his last name. The dude had a banner year in his career, and he was going to absolutely take top dollar. For him, it's not about winning. For him, it's not about championships. For him, it's not about loyalty to the silver and black, the team that drafted him. For him, it was about getting that top dollar. It was a business decision. It had nothing to do with the fact that we brought in Geno Smith. It had everything to do with the Raiders were not going to pay a safety that kind of money. It's just not going to happen. The safety position in the NFL today is nowhere near as important as a starting corner, as a starting defensive end, as even a defensive tackle. They're just not as important. They don't have as big of an impact on the game. And so some teams were going to give him that big payday, and that's what happened. He got the payday. He's going to the Panthers, and they're going to pay him $51 million to a safety. Listen, if he was worth $51 million, we would have won 5 more games last year. Do you think the Carolina Panthers are going to win a Super Bowl because they went and gave $51 million to a safety? No. But if you're Trayvon, are you going to stay with the Raiders who are offering you $20 million for 3 years? Or are you going to go to Carolina knowing you're still going to lose because Carolina is trash, but you're going to be rich? I mean, after his taxes, after his agent fees, if he fulfills the entire contract, he'll probably walk away with around $40 million. Who's going to turn that down? Had nothing to do with Geno Smith. He was intent from the beginning that he was going to get the top dollar and go wherever the top dollar was. Now, Robert Spillane, on the other hand, was a little bit surprising to me. I thought Robert would have had more fealty for the Raiders, who really gave this dude a shot and made him a household name, because he was cut from Pittsburgh. He was a backup, and we turned him into a star linebacker. And he decided he was going to go to the Patriots and take that top dollar. Again, I don't blame the guy. It's a business at the end of the day. But this is why I say, when it's once a Raider, always a Raider, that's our slogan, that only really counts if you're not just in it for the money. Look at Davante Adams. As soon as things got tough, he bounced. And as soon as things got tough in New York, he bounced. And now he's in LA. Is he going to do anything there? I don't know. They got a good coach. They got a good quarterback. More power to him. Do I want to see Davante Adams come back and retire as a Raider? No. I'm good. Once a Raider, always a Raider only counts if you're willing to stick it out and take care of business. Now, listen, I'm going to give that to Max Crosby. I know he got paid an awful lot of money. But you know what? He also could have jumped ship and got the same amount of money. He could have went to a Super Bowl contender. He could have went to Green Bay. He could have went to Detroit. He could have demanded a trade, and he would have got the same contract over there. So let's not bag on Max Crosby for getting the bag, because he could have got the bag anywhere he wanted. Yes, I know he only had 7 sacks last year, but the dude was injured from week 1. If he's not injured, playing through injury, the dude is going to get you 14 to 16 sacks every season. And so he could have gone anywhere he wanted to. But he didn't. He stayed. So I don't think that this is on the Raiders bringing in Geno Smith. And in fact, I think Geno Smith is an upgrade to this quarterback room. Is Geno Smith a superstar? Nope. Is he a top 5 quarterback? Nope. But I tell you what Geno Smith is. He is consistent. And consistency is something in the quarterback realm that we haven't had for years. And so if you have a really good defense and a really good offensive line and a really good run game, but you can win a lot of games with a consistent quarterback. A guy who's going to get you over 4,000 yards. A guy who's going to get you over 25 to 30 touchdowns. Now, you can bag on him all you want for the 15 interceptions last year. I get that. But he also had the worst offensive line in the NFL. Worse than the Raiders. He had the highest amount of QB pressures despite having the quickest release. What does that tell you? It tells you that his offensive line was atrocious. One of the things I like about Geno Smith, and why I'm 100% okay with Geno Smith being a Raider, is when you watch the pressure in his face, he don't panic. He does not panic. Gardner Minshew had happy feet. He would panic the second the ball was snapped to him. Even Aiden O'Connell, if everything ain't going right, he panics and he runs himself into a sack or a bad play. If everything's going right, Aiden O'Connell, he's good. He can make every throw. And I believe in the kid. I don't think he's quite ready yet. I think if he sat behind Geno for another 2 years, maybe we resign him to a couple-year deal, a cheap deal. I think by the time he's 28, 29, he's going to be a good quarterback. But Geno Smith brings consistency, and he brings poise in the pocket, and he brings the ability to do real play-action pass and RPOs, something that the Raiders have not been able to do at all. So, with that being said, that was a long address to my boy's comment here. I love you, man. Thank you for being such a supporter of the Raider D podcast. We don't always agree on everything, but that's okay because we still always Raider Nation, baby. Let's get into another one here real quick. We'll go through a couple of these, and then we're going to go through each one of the recaps and how I'm feeling about each one of them. My boy Raider Ryan says, and guys, everybody give a big congrats in the comments to my boy Raider Ryan. He just got married not too long ago. Just took a trip down to Vegas for the first time and viewed the stadium. Give him a round of applause, man. This dude bleeds silver and black. One of the best and longtime supporters of the podcast. My boy Raider Ryan says, I don't understand why the nation is so down on with our moves. It sucked losing players, but Spillane hurt the most. But look at those contracts. Hobb, Morrig, Spillane, Diablo. And we're going to get into Diablo in a bit. We're also going to get into Andre James being cut. Big congrats to the Raiders for recognizing failure when it's a failure. And same thing with Diablo. Diablo was one of those dudes where, you know, I mean, he calls himself Divine Diablo. That's his name. Divine is like, you know, godly and ooh, and Diablo is like devil. And that's the way he played. Like sometimes you're like, oh my God, he's so good. And other times like, oh my God, this dude sucks. It's absolutely horrible. That's why you let him walk, because of the inconsistency, his inability to be consistent out on the field really hurt the Raiders. And so I'm glad to see him gone. And I think one thing that Pete Carroll's really good at is progressing linebackers and secondary. And we've got some young linebackers in this roster. Eichenberg, Gaynor. These guys can rock. And we also just made a huge addition in the run stopping category. Another guy thrown away, cast away from Pittsburgh, just like Spillane. I got no doubt that with our new head coach, Pete Carroll, this guy is going to be an absolute stud with the Raiders. Geo Mex, what's up, man? Our defense kept us in games throughout the year, but we have coaches with the next man up mentality. You know, and they did. And that is one thing I want to give kudos to the Raiders. Listen, when you look at the stats, man, it's not the defense was not a top 10 defense, but we were 15th in many categories. And so middle of the pack is better than being the back of the pack. I seen a lot of comments in my video yesterday saying, it doesn't matter. The Raiders were the worst defense in the NFL last year. We sucked. They'll let all the players go. Let Max go. Guys, we were by far not the worst defense in the NFL last year. We were 15th in rush defense, 15th in pass defense, and I think 14th or 16th, I can't remember, in overall defense. So the Raiders defense was decent last year, but the Raiders defense was also obliterated by injury. And so you can't say that the Raiders defense was horrible last year, because they weren't horrible, first of all. And the fact that they were able to still be 15th, around 15th, the overall defense with all of those injuries means that we had some really good coaching and we had some really good play. And so I give kudos to the defense last year. They did keep us in some games. They helped us win some games, a few games that we did win. And I'm expecting a lot more this year. A healthy Max Crosby, a healthy Malcolm Kuntz, a healthy Christian Wilkins, Adam Butler, Jenkins, like all these guys. I don't know. Did we get Jenkins back? I actually didn't see. I haven't heard anything on him. I think he's back, but I'm not 100% sure. If you guys have heard, drop a comment down below. Let's see. Fat Bearded Dad, my dude is back, man. What is going on? I know it's been a long time since I've been doing the live streams, but man, we're out here on the ranch. We're trying to build stuff out here. My time is extraordinarily limited, so I'm just able to get out a video a day, and I haven't been able to do the live streams like I normally do. But we're getting closer, man. As you can see over here, I'm working on the bathroom, getting that situation all done. Just did the tile on the floor. I got more stuff to do in there. That's almost done. And then the studio section over here is next after that. But I'm only one guy. I can only get so much done. So I will be back live, especially once the season starts. But guys, make sure you come and join me for the live stream of every day, the entire draft. You guys are not going to want to miss out on that. Fat Bearded Dad says, as much as I hate to see him go, I understand why Spill made his decision. Of course, money talks and BS walks. He's reuniting with head coach that drafted him and the coach that gave him a shot with the Raiders. So there you go. I think it's more about money than anything else because the Raiders were definitely not going to give him that big of a contract. And here's the thing, like for half the price, we got the exact same linebacker in Elandon Roberts. This guy from Pittsburgh is an absolute run defender stud who can also get after the quarterback. Now, on third down, you're not going to see him out there as much because he's not as good in pass pro. Same thing with Robert Spillane. But when you on first down, second down, you know it's going to be possible a run play. You put Roberts out there, and this dude is an absolute dog. He is going to crush whoever runs in front of him. So we got him for half the price of what we would have had to pay Robert Spillane. And I think that this is just a great move by John Spytek and the new Raiders administration to replace a player with an equivalent player for half the price is how you run a successful organization. Because when you end up in salary cap hell because you overpay people, that's when you become a loser organization. You can't overpay. You've got to listen. That's what the Patriots did. They went and found value. They went and found dogs, and they put them out on the field for half of the price of these souped up superstars, who end up becoming divas anyway. And they won a ton of Super Bowls. Look at Tampa Bay when they won theirs. Same thing. They had dogs out there, but they weren't overpaid. Philly, I mean, KC does the same thing. That's how you run a successful organization. John Spytek came from a successful organization, and finally, the Raiders are going to have a successful organization, in my opinion. Jacob Vega says, congrats, Raider Ryan. Everybody, yeah, give a salute out to my boy. Again, just got married a little while ago. Great lady. Just got to go and visit the stadium, man. Like, living the dream right now. Chaos Raider, what's going on? I don't know why people are upset with Geno trade. This guy had the worst O-line and still had a winning record last season. I agree. I agree with you. I just said the exact same thing a couple minutes ago, brother. I think that Geno Smith, with having the worst offensive line, if he can put that up. Now, granted, they also had really good running backs over there, but they also didn't have a good defense either. So a lot of the games he's playing from behind because his defense couldn't stop anybody. So there's a few things that you're going to get with Geno Smith. Geno Smith, first and foremost, is a veteran quarterback. There's nothing a defense can throw at Geno Smith that he hasn't seen 100 times already. And second is he can actually move with his feet. I was talking to my wife last night about it and why I'm so happy. And I was so upset when we got Gardner Minshew. Go back and watch the videos. You'll see how upset I was and how I was saying this is a dumb move. This dude's not a starting quarterback. I don't know why the Raiders went and got him. Great guy, Nothing against him personally, but if you're evaluating talent per talent, this dude is probably the worst starting quarterback in the NFL. And he was. And so if you look at Geno Smith on the contrast, though, is completely opposite. When Minshew would take off running with his happy feet, when he would get a little bit scared in the pocket, the dude would trip over himself and just find a way to fall on his face. When Geno Smith runs out of the pocket, the dude looks like he knows what he's doing. And he's not scared. He's keeping his eyes down the field instead of down at the ground like Gardner Minshew would do. And he's looking to make the play. Now, listen, sometimes it's not going to pan out. Sometimes Geno Smith is going to make some dumb passes. And that just goes with Geno Smith. That's why he's not an elite quarterback. But he is a consistent starting level quarterback in the NFL. And that is something we have not had since Derek Carr. And even Derek Carr was inconsistent as hell. He would put up 4,000 yards. Well, usually a little over 3,000 yards. I think he had one season where he hit over 4,000 yards. But still figure out ways to lose games. And so with Geno Smith, I think it's a complete and total opposite of that. I'm happy to have him on the team. I've got great feeling that the Raiders are going to be good this year under Geno Smith as the quarterback. This is the first time since 2000 that I'm 100% all in with the coaching staff, front office, and anyone who suits up on the field. We are the new Toyota 2.0. We go in places. Salute, GeoMex, man. I agree with you 100%, man. 100%. Listen, here's the thing about it with everything that just happened. All right, let's just do a quick, recap. Robert Spillane, gone. Trayvon Moehrig, gone. Nate Hobbs, gone. Divine Diablo, gone. Andre Smith, cut. Gardner Minshew, cut. Right, and then we cut some other guys too that nobody really cares about. Guys who weren't starters. Not that we don't care about them, but they weren't making an impact with the Raiders. And so what have the Raiders done? And this is what I love to see and why I have a lot of enthusiasm this year coming into this season with the new general manager and coaching staff is, listen, they knew that Moehrig was going to take top dollar. He's not coming back. They knew Nate Hobbs was going to take top dollar. He's not coming back. They knew that Robert Spillane was not going to come back. He was going to take top dollar. And they weren't going to pay these guys that because they don't have a big enough impact on the game to warrant that. But they had a plan. They knew this was going to happen, and they had a plan. And that's the most important thing. Because in years past, we would get star players. We would build these players up, and you don't have a plan. Listen, we all knew Trayvon Moehrig was going to be good in 2024. We knew he was good by week 4. Why didn't Tom Telesco extend him then when we could have extended him for half the price of what he just got? You could have given him a 3-year deal in week 4 last year. And it's not an issue. But there was no plan there. There was no plan in place. It was, we'll just wait till the end of the season and see where the chips fall. No plan whatsoever. Robert Spillane was a top 10 linebacker. At one point, he was leading the NFL in tackles. He had 2 interceptions, 2 sacks, 10 tackles for loss. I think it was 10. Correct me if I'm wrong. And over like 147 tackles. The dude was playing like his hair was on fire on a bad team with bad coaching. Why didn't we re-sign him last year? You could have went to Robert Spillane last year and you could have said, listen, we're going to give you a 3-year deal worth $30 million. It's $10 million a year. That's a great deal for a linebacker. Robert Spillane would have taken it last year. And then we don't have to go through all of this. And so that's the contrast with last year's administration and this new administration. Last year clearly had no clue or plan for the future of what they were doing with our potential free agents. Whereas this year, it was already too late for John Spytek. By the time he got here, the season was over. These guys are going in free agency. They had banner years for their careers. They're going to go get top dollar. You can't fight that. But he had a plan. And the plan was he replaced Robert Spillane with a replica from Pittsburgh, of all places, at half the price. And Elandon Roberts, when you watch him play, the dude is an absolute bulldozer in the run game. Again, he's not an all-around linebacker. He's not a guy that's going to be out there all 3 downs or on 4th down, because when it's an obvious pass play, you got to pull him off and you got to put in your pass pro guy. But here's what I love about what the Raiders did. The Raiders, number one, they were able to re-sign Malcolm Kuntz. And this is huge. But besides him, the Raiders were also able to pick up safety Lonnie Johnson, we are back. We had a crazy disruption there. I don't know what happened. If you guys can see and hear me, drop your comment. Let me know that we are good. We lost power to the computer for some reason. Shut down on me. We're back up. I think we're back up. Let me check here. Okay, yes, we're back. Woo! Weird technology problems, man. Having technical. Sorry about the interruption. Where were we, man? So yeah, the Raiders have a plan, and the plan that they've had in place all along, knowing that they're going to lose their starting safety, knowing that they're going to lose their Nate Hobbs, their nickel corner. They know that they're going to lose their linebacker. And so they went out and they signed some guys that are going to help this team a lot. Let's go through here. Oh, Jeremy Chin. That's who I was thinking of. So Jeremy Chin is the replacement, the direct replacement for Trayvon Moehrig. And here's the great thing about Jeremy Chin. As I went and I researched him and looked him up, this dude plays all over the field. So he's a safety, but he lines up as a linebacker, a safety, a nickel corner. He can play it all. He can even play off the edge as an edge defender. It's insane. The dude's like 6'3", 215, 220 pounds, playing safety. So he's got the speed and the coverage skills, but he's got the tackling ability and the get off blocks ability of an edge defender. Like how did they even let this guy walk is insane. You know, and then we also went outside and Lonnie Johnson Jr., another safety as well. So here's what I'm kind of thinking that the Raiders are going to do with Jeremy Chin. My guess is they're going to make Jeremy Chin the replacement for Nate Hobbs and Lonnie Johnson the replacement for Moehrig. And hear me out, because Jeremy Chin is lined up nickel corner in his career. He's lined up at linebacker and defensive edge too. But I think when you got a guy who's as versatile as a Jeremy Chin, I think that you lost Nate, your nickel corner, I think would probably play really well to bounce him and safety and linebacker, because he can get after the quarterback and he can cover, and he can cover well. So it's really good to see that the Raiders had this plan in place for so many years, going back to John Gruden. And have a good plan for, and who clearly have that. So that's why I'm My goodness, guys, we are having some technical difficulties. I do think it is actually my I think it's my Wi-Fi. So my Wi-Fi is in the other cabin in the studio. I'm like probably 20 feet away from the router. It's never had this problem before, but it looks like we're having some Wi-Fi issues right now. Uh, yeah, Wi-Fi bill. I got Starlink, so I got to take it up with Doge and Elon Musk because clearly they're not doing their job. So he needs to fire some people over there at Starlink, man. Oh man. Okay, but it looks like we're back. It looks like we're back. It looks like the Wi-Fi is holding steady now. Okay, so guys, let me know. Listen, let's get in the comments real quick. I want to know how you guys feel about yesterday with the replacements. I know like Jeremy Chin, Lonnie Johnson, Elandon Roberts, these guys are all brand new faces. We're probably not super familiar with them. But when you go look at them, go look at some breakdowns of their game, go look at some highlights of their game, and you'll see that these dudes are just as good, if not better, than the three dudes that we just lost. And one of the beautiful things that I really like is the fact that Andre James had a big contract for a center who wasn't good. And they wasted no time cutting him and just eating that cap money. Instead of wasting any more time or effort or energy on a guy that's not good. And to me, that spells confidence in the GM staff and the coaching staff. That's why you let a guy like Divine Diablo just walk. You don't. My understanding is they didn't even give him a contract offer. It was just hit the door, Jack. Don't let it hit you in the backside. So I think that spells confidence to me. I would have loved to see Spillane stay. I blame Tom Telesco for that. I would have loved to see Trayvon Morig stay. I blame Tom Telesco for that. I'm glad Andre James is gone. I'm glad Divine Diablo is gone. Because when those guys are making the kind of money that they're making, they're going to be out on the field. That's what we saw last year. Listen, JPJ, Jackson Powers Johnson, the best center in the NFL, got moved back to guard once Andre James was healthy because you got to play Andre James because he's making all that money. When he clearly had no business going back out there. JPJ was wrecking people at the center position. So much so that the referees were going and complaining to Antonio Pierce that his center plays a little too rough. Come on, coach. You got to tell your center to chill it out a little bit. You know, this is the NFL. It's not football. You know, we're not out here playing football, a contact sport. This is flag football. This is the NFL. Tell him to calm down. And then you move him back to guard and you put Andre James in there. Well, that's done. That is done, completely done. We do not have to worry about Andre James taking over for JPJ again this season. And I want to see Amari the Ferrari Gainer out there instead of Divine Diablo. I want to see Eichenberg get some more shots out there. Raider Ryan, a member for 13 months, which is almost exactly. I think the podcast has been going for 14 months. So almost exactly as long as this podcast has been going, Raider Ryan has been a member of the channel, helping out financially to keep this thing running and advocating for the podcast. My man, salute to you, Raider Ryan. If you all like what you hear, then hit that like button and subscribe and support Raider Brothers channel for all the hard work he puts in for the nation. Raider D, keep doing your thing. Appreciate you, brother. Always, man. Always. I love the Las Vegas Raiders. I've been a lifetime Raiders fan. I grew up in the Bay Area. So, of course, I'm going to keep on doing what I'm doing. Because, you know what? I remember back in the day when we started this, it was only like 14 months ago. But I remember when we started this, my boy D-Menace 4200 right here, who was the very first member, by the way. Raider Ryan was the second member of the channel, I believe. But the very, very first one to become a member of the channel was D-Menace 4200. My man, what is going on? He says, refs say that during a game. Yeah. They absolutely did. They went over to him and told him, you got to tell JPJ to calm it down. Crazy. But like I was saying, listen, I love what I do here at the Raider D podcast so much. I've met so many people, uh, fans, like I it's insane. Wherever you go, the Raider Nation is there, and I love it. I never thought this would happen, but there's been times now where I've been out there in public, and a Raider fan come up to me and be like, "Dude, you're Raider D. What's up, man? Let's go Raiders." You know what I'm saying? Get some daps and some hugs and stuff. It's given me that opportunity to have those connections with people that I probably otherwise wouldn't have had. Because the Raider Nation, we're just like, "Hey, Raiders," and you keep walking. Where now I'm like having these conversations and I'm getting to know people and getting to know their families and stuff, and it's absolutely amazing. And then the connections that I've made within the Raiders organization, which, to be 100% honest, half of which would not have even happened if it had not been for Raider Ryan. So if you guys don't know, last year, Raider Ryan won some tickets to the open practice. Now, I had tried to get those open tickets, but for whatever reason, I could not get the app to work, and I didn't get the open tickets. So Raider Ryan wasn't able to make it down there to Vegas from Washington, where he lives. Well, I'm right next to Vegas, so it's like easy for me to be there. So he was like, "Raider D, I got these 4 tickets. I want to give them to the channel. Do with them whatever you want." So what we did is we gave them away. We did a raffle, and we gave them away free of charge. You don't have to pay anything here to get in a raffle on this channel. And OC Raider from Orange County, California, my boy, and his wife, who had never been to a Raiders game, never been to a Raiders practice, never been to Vegas to see the new stadium, they won the 2 tickets. And then me and my wife, we went down there, and it was a blast. It was a lot of fun. And I got to meet people within the Raiders organization. And that led me being able to then get a press pass and get to sit in the VIP box, sit with the friends and family box, get to meet the family members of guys like Jack Jones and Dylan Laube and others. It was so much fun. And that would not have happened if I didn't start this podcast, and great, true Raider fans like my boy D-Menace 4200, like my boy Raider Ryan, and all of you other guys who have been supporting me from the beginning, like Bernardo Turner and my boy Geomex, El Cesaro, all of you guys. If it weren't for all of you guys, this success wouldn't be happening. So praise be to God first and foremost, always, and then just a big thanks and shout out to all of the Raider Nation for all the support that you guys have been doing. It's absolutely humbling, and I love it. So yeah, just want to give some kudos out to you guys, because we always talk about the Raiders organization. We always talk about the Raiders players. We don't talk enough about the fan base and what the fan base does for this organization. And I think that more of that needs to be done. More appreciation needs to be shown out to the fan base and all the support that they give to the Raider Nation. Because if it weren't for the Raider Nation fan base, there would be no Raiders. And it's good to see that, we do have people in the Raider organization who believe in that philosophy. And that's why they talk to a lowly podcaster like me. I know some people say, oh, he's just making it up. He's lying. He doesn't have sources. Well, I don't have anything to prove. Believe me or not, I know this. There are people in the Raiders organization who believe in the fan base and are willing to have those connections with small podcasters like me. And again, that wouldn't have happened if it weren't for fans gifting those tickets, i.e. Raider Ryan, which then led us to go down and make those connections. Just so humble and grateful for all that. But yeah, so that's kind of the deal, man. Right now, as it stands, we lost 4 starters, 5 starters, if you include Andre James, off of this team. We've already replaced them. And so, goodbye, good riddance. It is what it is. We've already got new players in the house, and I'm really excited about this season. I think Geno Smith can absolutely get us over that hump. I think what this means for the Raiders, especially when it comes to the draft, and why I'm so excited for the draft this year, is you're not under pressure anymore to draft a quarterback. The Raiders don't need to trade up to pick number 1 or 2 and sell the farm for a questionable first-round draft class of quarterbacks this year. The Raiders can sit back. And I was talking to the wife yesterday about this. My boy Abdullah Muhammad, what is going on? Appreciate you, brother, for being here. Another supporter of the channel and a member of the channel. Guys, if you haven't considered becoming a member yet, listen, the lowest tier is only like $2.99 a month. It basically buys me a cup of coffee, which gives me the energy to come and make these videos. I appreciate each and every single one of the members. And we got a lot of stuff planned for the members this coming season. So you're not going to want to miss out. Please consider supporting. And if you want to go all the way to the top tier and become Raider Nation, then go ahead and hit that one. I think it's $29.99 a month. All right, guys, listen. Draft. Let's talk as we're closing this up. I want to talk about draft real quick for just a second. Okay. What if the Raiders were to do this scenario? Now, the Jets did just go get Justin Fields, so it kind of messes it up a little bit, but I was thinking that the Raiders could trade back with the Jets if Shedeur Sanders were still on the board at 6 because they need a quarterback, right? So you could trade back with them, and you could get next year's first-round draft pick out of them. So next year you got 2 first-round draft picks, and the Jets are still going to stink. So you'll probably have a top 10 draft pick next year as well. Now, with them getting Justin Fields, it kind of throws a monkey wrench into the whole thing, and I don't know if that would work. So you might have to go back and, I don't know, maybe trade back with the Saints. But if you could trade back just 1 spot or 2 spots and you have Ashton Jeanty on the board, I think you go get him. I think you go and you get Ashton Jeanty because he's a game changer. He is... For sure, if he has a healthy career, this dude will be a Hall of Fame running back. He will break records. He will probably break Raiders records for sure in rushing. That's how high up I am on him. Just like I was on Jaden Daniels last year and Brock Bowers, I'm the same way with this Ashton Jeanty. If the Raiders land Ashton Jeanty, the run game is fixed immediately. And if you spend the second round to upgrade the guard position on the offensive line, get us a really solid guard. In the third round, you go another offensive guard. Maybe you go wide receiver. We'll have to see what happens today and tomorrow in the free agency. News on that, though, is from my sources with the Raiders, spoke directly to Tyler Lockett, and his response to, "Are you coming to the Raiders?" Fingers crossed. That's all. Interpret that however you want, but that's all the information I got was from Tyler Lockett's mouth. He said fingers crossed. Now, as Tyler Lockett's best days passed him by, yes. But Tyler Lockett gives you that veteran wide receiver presence who is also an excellent teammate and not all about self like a Devontae Adams. And so this is just huge for the Raiders if they land Tyler Lockett. He's not going to be your X receiver, I don't think. Maybe you could make him that. But one thing that you could do for him is he is a massive depth piece for you at wide receiver. You've got continuity and stability with Lockett in the room. So I'm definitely all for that. I would love to see Tyler Lockett come to the Raiders. I think he'll be a perfect fit, especially he has that continuity already with Geno Smith. Guys, what do you guys think about it? I got to run. Got some appointments I got to take care of. Business. And so I will see you guys in tomorrow's video. I'll probably also break down another video, maybe cut this one up, and also post another video if any more players come or go from the Raiders today. Love you, Raider Nation. Let's go, Raiders! Just win, baby.